Introduction to World Civilizations. Chapter 1. The Civilization Approach to Human Development. Dear students, first of all, welcome to the class of Introduction to World Civilizations. In order to be able to understand different civilizations, first of all, we need to define what civilization is, and we need to understand the civilization approach to human development. So after completing this very first chapter, you will be able to define a civilization, hypothesize what types of civilization can be recognized at the beginning of the third millennium, formulate the types of society that are emerging through civilizational development and how they relate to your own environment and life circumstances, and then finally you will be able to investigate what types of laws rule a civilization and the world civilization in general. Let us start with the definition of civilization. In its basic and broader sense, a civilization is an active, complex societal organism characterized by society, culture, including religion, and infrastructure as well, living in a larger space and time. So it has its past, its present, and its future states. In the last 6,000 years, there have been 29 civilizations. And then those civilizations were transformed into 9 to 10 major civilizations, such as Chinese, Hindu, Japanese, Buddhist, African, Western, Eastern, Islamic, global, and just emerging virtual civilizations. And there are some earlier and contemporary approaches to define a civilization. You can look at the details of those approaches, different views of different researchers about the definition of civilization in your book. And let's now move to the types of civilizations. When we look at the world civilization history, we can see that it has a continuous character, and it can be also perceived as a mosaic of autonomous civilization. When you look at this diagram, you see that civilizations faced physical, social, ideological, and technological as well challenges. And within this mosaic, we can see a kind of continuum. We can talk about three types of civilizations under the heading of the headline of types of civilization. The first one is societal civilization. Here we can talk about organization into society through the development of services and human communication. In the second type of civilization, here we see how the societal civilizations evolved into more complex entities through cultural manipulation. And then finally, in infrastructural civilization, there is now the evolution of the cultural civilizations, this time into a civilization with challenges generated by intra-civilizational and inter-civilizational issues of war and peace through technological means of domination. So here, when we are considering the types of civilization, we here see a kind of hierarchical continuum. From the methods of the civilization study perspective, here we can talk about some elements of the internal system of civilizations. These elements are made up of society, culture, and infrastructure. Here in the diagram, we can see that this society here can be considered as a kind of a human entity. It is an existence-driven human community. And then with the culture element, we talk about value and symbols driven, it's a kind of driven, those kind of driven continuum process. And then finally, in the infrastructure element, here we can define it as a kind of technology-driven additive process, and all these make up of civilization. When we look at civilizing society and the types of human entities, a society can be considered as a human entity, which is a set of structured relationships among a group of humans that can be organized under several types ranging from less to more flexible ones. You can see the types of human entities in your book in detail. Here is a list starting from individual to a utopian society, utopia. And if you're interested in the definitions of these different human entities, you can look up them in your own course book. So finally, we can here say that a civilization can be composed of one or a combination of these human entities given here as a list. From a more composite definition, civilization is a large society living in an autonomous, fuzzy reification that exists over an extended period of time. But not only time, but also it specializes in labor and differentiates from other civilizations by developing its own advanced cultural system. And it also progresses in a cyclical manner, in cycles of rising, growing, declining, and finally falling. Here you can see in this diagram a composite definition of civilization. There are also some grand laws of the world civilization. In order to understand different civilizations, we need to know four grand laws of world civilization. The first law is about ability of men to develop. The second law is about the right of men to freedom and reason. The third law is about law of conscious historical evolution. And the fourth law is about historical success of a country's harmony. So if you are interested in the details of these laws, you can find them in your own course pack. But being able to understand those laws is quite important to analyze various civilizations in world history. So far in this chapter, we have investigated, first of all, basic definition of civilization. Then we talked about types of civilizations and methods of civilization study. We considered civilizing society and types of human entities. And then we focused on a composite definition of civilization. And then finally, we talked about grand laws of the world civilization. Now we will move to the second chapter.